Welcome back to Gollum. So we're back at the main menu so we can check what the new lore we've unlocked.
It looks like the menu slightly changes as you progress.
No, it does not. Barad-dûr. To describe Barad-dûr as a tower is an understatement. When Frodo sat down on the high seat at Amon-Hen, he perceived the Dark Tower as an iron fortress, battlement upon battlement. Sauron has rebuilt it long after the armies of elves and men had razed it to the ground. The tower's foundations had survived, however. Tied to the existence of the One Ring, even the elves could not destroy them.
Wait, why did you mention Frodo when this is supposed to take place
Remember,
before
the scene
story?
of Fellowship of to scale comparison. The Fellowship of Ring has that scene in our
The
head when
inhabitants.
Frodo witnesses the Barad-dûr.
Mm-hmm.
So what it's saying is that Frodo perceived it wrong. Whoopsie.
More like it was the way his mind could
Alright.
comprehend it.
So the inhabitants of, I'm guessing, Barad-dûr? Okay, not all inhabitants of Barad-dûr were orcs. They were slaves, mostly humans. Undead creatures like the Nazgul and the other terrible beings dwelled here there as well. The black Numenorians are a particular type of men that already swore fealty to Sauron when he corrupted Numenor. Their alliance with the darkness made them powerful sorcerers like the Witch King in the mouth of Sauron. They were an evil antithesis to Aragorn and his double Dunedain, who defended the borders of the Shire.
Technically, the Witch King is supposed to be a Nazgul game.
It's based
Borax.
around the dark.
So basically they lost their heart to the darkness. Gotcha. Borax are a hybrid of different kings of strong animals, the wild pig being prominent among them. That is why we thought of them to be omnivores. Tolkien mentioned great beasts as part of Sauron's army. However, the Borax are entirely our creation.
Basically, Tolkien was a bit generic and left it up to interpretation, so they took liberties on that.
You know, this stuff is all nice.
Gollum and Mordor. Oh my god, so much text.
Why did you skip?
No, it's because we already read that one. I was just checking something. Anyway, the Black Pits. Sauron gets mostly iron and obsidian out of the mines, which he uses to forging weapons and strengthening fortifications of his stronghold. He also uses the precious metals he acquires to pay or bribe other nations like the Haradrim. At the same time, the pits are a place to eliminate and subordinate. Yeah, this game is the pits. Enslaved people or criminals. The workers primarily consist of men and orcs. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. It was just too easy. Among them, the frail man has a unique role. His tattoos show that he is a part of a higher sovereign cult. He was a nobleman who fell from grace. Sauron became angry with him, had him captured, and placed him in the mines. The tattoo might have contained... So basically, let me get this straight. In order to figure out who the frail man is, I have to buy the fucking lore compendium, because the game itself doesn't explain it in the story, by the way.
Well, let me ask the question. Do you feel, personally, if this didn't exist and you didn't even knew it existed, would you think it would be important for you to know that?
Yes, I want to know.
The way the game is presenting it to you.
Well, yeah. I mean... he's...
I will say
He's kind of one of the he's the important side character for these early hours, you know. Anyway,
if I may give my 2 cents, I don't think we'd really have a problem if it weren't for the fact that they charged money for this. Like, that's the main problem when you get down to it. The fact that a lore manual was charged.
It would be one thing. It would be one thing if this was included, Tail, but it's even worse here because you have to pay for the fucking data log.
And keep in mind, this is standard stuff to have in a game of this. Now, there are some things we could argue that, DLC wasn't a practice, and so they would have been DLC then, but no. Simply adding in material that is arguably about the levels is, it's just common sense for a game. No one wants to be charged to,
Oh, yes. I'm going to read this. Orc breeding. Tolkien's writings have many different thoughts on the nature of origin of orc breeding. He did not seem to be quite sure himself how it worked. However, some facts are consistent throughout the stories. Orcs are beings from the same family as humans. They need to eat, drink, and sleep, and they can probably multiply. But on the other hand, Tolkien often writes about them being bred or multiplying quickly. So we went with the idea of a breeding facility where orcs are raised in vitro, combined with black magic and the rituals of Sauron's cultists.
It's the closest it gets to a consistent one, yeah.
So
I will say, stuff
orc
this...
sex is not really a thing.
The eggs of orc mothers get separated from their wombs and fertilized. This process happens in the membrane at the top of the breeding facilities. Then the embryonic orc larvae are fed and raised in the dark and murky waters until they arrive to be extracted and raised by the other orcs. So there are indeed female orcs that lay eggs.
We've just never seen one. Like, okay, if I can say something about this, though, I will say some of these notes and lore bits do show that there were
These
people who
read the
legit
books.
cared.
Yeah.
You can tell these people read the books at the very least. It's just that
Which-
I wish, the Bellet studio would have been better at programming, and these people who read the books could tell those how to do it.
It
Yeah.
honestly makes it all the more of a shame that the lore is hidden behind a paywall, since arguably I'd say that that stuff is one of the better signs that there was somebody who cared. And you know what? I am perfectly willing to believe that the developers were trying to give it their all. They just were dealt the crappiest of hands by the executives, the guys in suits overall. That being said, I do have to wonder how much of this was them not knowing what they were doing, given how, let's not forget, this was like their first time doing this sort of game as well.
Alright, so it's time to meet the Candleman.
Don't move. Don't touch anything. Rats. The pincers. Wait until you hear the gong and go
This
upstairs.
bit sounds like the one between the nail and the great Kami from Vizia Bridge.
So the tower guard just told me to stay here and wait for the gong. However, you're actually supposed to climb because even if you wait here, the gong will not come. So thanks, game.
Well, take the man's
Right
clothes.
here in the tower, so close to the bridge. Hide in the cart and
I'm guessing story-wise they want you to try and escape so that you get in trouble.
Not quite actually. You'll see.
Faces here.
I mean, and to be fair, Joe, they dangle towards you that ramp there, and Gollum is not exactly the character who will do as is being told.
What does it want from us, this sorcerer? Ask riddle questions, perhaps. Rip our hearts out with his claws. But we knows riddles too.
You know what'd be funny is if you just stay there forever, but because the game is scripted to be like that, it implies that Gollum's waited for days and that bell still hasn't rung.
Closed. Maybe there's another way in. What does it want from us, this sorcerer?
And who was it that painted on the walls here?
Again, I think particularly it was Dartigan who mentioned that his headcanon is that there's someone running around through video game works just spray painting all the ledges and and surfaces.
Alright. Well, now where?
I mean, you are supposed to, I guess, get down in some fashion. Maybe there is a surface like the chandelier you can jump onto.
No, you can just jump down in general. It's just that.
True, but you will get damage, I think, from distance.
I don't
Whoa,
think
whoa,
so.
what the hell?
What happened?
Okay, I thought it was the game, it was just the video I was watching the buffer a bit, my bad.
You know the sad thing is like
You can't tell.
you know it's a
I
bad
was
case when you
genuinely
legit-
expecting it to happen. Fuck me.
Well, honestly, I don't blame you because this game is such a
Oh, never mind. Taylor's right. I got damage from that.
I guess you are supposed to use the chandelier, maybe?
Let's ring the
Like
bell.
I said, over the years, I have basically a general idea or intuition how much, height is supposed to damage you in a game with falling damage. Possibly acquired by playing Dark Souls enough.
Oh shoot, the mouth of Sauron's here.
In case you need to know, Jova, while it is associated to a character, it's more of a title that's passed on.
Of course.
Again, this is technically right as the War of Ring is about to start, so it might be the same character, but I don't know for certain.
Alright, so let's take a look at all the stuff that are over here in the room.
You know, how funny is it that in spite of this supposedly being in a different universe, you could arguably say that this actually happens in between Shadow of War and the main trilogy.
Well, that's the thing, Jova. It's that kind of thin line that separates, the differences of, the decision taken in the movies and instead what was written in the book.
I love,
Because the difference... Sorry, go on.
I love how there's of course the eye of Sauron, and right now the Candleman is talking to the mouth of Sauron. I can only imagine if there is a Lord of the Rings porn parody, they make a penis of Sauron character.
Like I said, more of a title than anything, but yeah. So basically, like I said, Jova, unlike with stuff like comic book superheroes, the whole idea of having a gajillion different continuities and alternate realities, it's not really a concept that associates very well with this kind of franchise. So it's more of a case where the resemblance is still, you know, close enough.
It does make me wonder. Do you think maybe it was pointless for the whole Tolkienverse and Jacksonverse separation?
I mean, the idea, that's the thing. If the game had stayed very close to the book, you know, on its own, not really, because, you know, that might, you know, probably work in that kind of sense. But, you know, they bother to make a point.
Alright, hold on to 3, 2, 1, click.
Thanks. They bother to, you know, specify they took still liberties, create a new character specifically for this setting. So no, it's still, you know, not appropriately associated to that. Like,
I
it's
suppose-
just a matter of aesthetic, like you said.
Hold on.
And I suppose
So let's
in
go
one-
Smeagol once again.
I suppose one advantage this has is that they don't have to constantly use the likeness of certain iconic characters overall.
I can
How did you
imagine.
miss that?
I can imagine if Spoonie was still making reviews, he would make fun of that outfit. It's like he usually did with the Final Fantasy X and stuff like that.
Also, like, there's tunnel vision, and then there's just having no sense whatsoever with how that guy missed Gollum.
Alright, here we
Not
go.
to mention the orc, too.
I guess the reason they call him the Candleman is because he's always putting out candles.
Oh my god, the flame was clipping through
Yeah,
the,
yeah, it was.
the thing there.
And yes, the Oh, look, Mr. Candleman. From what PS3 game did you come from?
He looks like Batman at 160 years old.
Seriously, all that leather, Christ.
I don't know. With that face, he looks more like Alfred to me.
I think he's talking about the outfit.
He actually reminds me instead of General Tarkin.
So
Yeah.
is this some bizarre experiment in which Batman and Alfred were fused together?
Why is your
So those mouths I saw earlier actually look like, you know, the weird mutated mouth that the Mouth of Sauron has in Return of the King.
It might
wonder
be
if
the
Look at his
same
animation
character.
here.
raises questions?
Oh my God.
It reeks of PS3 days. Like,
Not only that, but the expressions don't even always flow well into each other. It feels like suddenly he flipped to one like he's a sprite in an old Ace Attorney game. Keyword being old Ace Attorney game.
I don't know, Pedro. The PS3 game that we've recently been doing looks better than this. That was 2008. MGS4.
All right.
Good. So, what is the answer?
It wasn't us.
Because you were on
We didn't know this would be on the test.
What about everyone else? Good men.
Okay,
buried
I guess
under
an-
the bridge.
I guess
And
another
thus,
point to this being the Tolkienverse, they don't have to try and imitate certain bouts of the characters from the Jacksonverse either. So, I am more okay that this guy ain't going for an Andy Serkis. You know, that being said,
So,
yeah, he still pales in
basically,
comparison to Andy
keeping up with
Serkis.
my Smeagol run, and even so, like, I feel like I should probably tell the truth so I can keep myself in the good graces of the Candleman, otherwise he'll fuck me over, so...
Spiegel is on the list.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, let's appeal to his fear. I think, yeah. So, yeah, he could hurt Smeagol, so...
Yes, but he could hurt our hands. We saw his pincers, didn't we? Knives, scissors, so many ways to make poor Smeagol hurt. Don't let him, Precious. Don't let him hurt our hands. No, not our hands, my love. Not if we speaks the truth.
So,
And the Candleman, while this is going on, is like, what are you doing?
He's a free action.
Answer my question.
I honestly like to
Smeagol
imagine
won
that
the
any
argument with
NPC
himself.
is thinking this while Gollum is having his little inner duels.
Maybe it's Sailor Moon logic. Well, during the transformation sequence, the rest of the world stops in time during
Basically.
it.
Well, I guess he was able to think his answers quicker when he came across Frodo and company.
never leave any witnesses.
Well, if I remember correctly, usually those kinds of Smeagol versus Gollum moments are usually when he's alone in the movies. So.
Well, my point is, like, I mean, clearly whenever he was conversing with Frodo and Sam and needed to make decisions...
That would be an interesting
he
thing.
had gotten better at
That would be an interesting thing. Like, if they make that TV series that me and Theo theorized could be done to make a more comprehensive adaptation. Like, every time someone asks Gollum something or he has to make a decision, like, the entire world stops so that Gollum and Smeagol can have a debate about things.
Did we ever find out this woman's real name, or would she just be known as...
I don't
Cruel
think so. Maybe Theo knows her name.
I don't remember.
Okay,
Could be,
sure.
Could be not, as far as I remember.
The point is, she's a bitch, and probably because her daddy didn't hug her enough, as you're about to see eventually.
I think that's one frustrating thing. Like, you're in the Tolkien verse, but it doesn't feel like they take as much advantage of it as they could be with emphasizing characters different from the Jack.
All right, so to recap what's been happening, basically the Candleman has a task for us. I'm not entirely certain why he picked Gollum for this task, but whatever.
Gollum's just the ultimate errand boy in this game, isn't he?
I mean, the game needs to happen. That's basically it. The point is, we need to go to the bird breeding hall because, in order to serve his purpose, the Candleman wants us to raise and train a bird.
Why?
I'm not entirely certain where this plot thread came from, but if the writers think it's good, then I guess we should go with it.
You know, I think my main issue with the story here is that it feels like Gollum is being shoehorned into roles of this game rather than a story that feels like it could actually accommodate him. It's like, oh, the Nazgul just decided to kidnap him and take him to jail for supposedly information that they have not been able to get out of him, and oh, suddenly he's the perfect guy for these roles because I guess the wardens have taken an interest in him. Like, it doesn't feel natural at all. And I get it, a game needs to happen, but I feel like you could have made an OC for this game and they would have functioned just as well as Gollum for the plot.
Okay, hold on. I'll wait till after discussing because we're about to get a long gameplay section, so I'll send my piece after this bit.
Maybe you deserve a second chance.
Thank you, my lord.
Come with me.
And you'll be in a world and on a boat.
It's time for you to learn how to breed our carrier birds.
Also, in between scenes, he got himself a new hat, I guess.
Finding the right
Yeah, his helmet.
nice.
That's why he's called Candleman, because the beats on the helmet are similar to incense thingies.
temperature. Which egg you choose, that's up to you.
That must be really difficult to clear doorways with that thing, with those sticks.
Oh, as you have seen, by playing, they're very, ample.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just explain the gameplay. What this basically boils down to is we have to basically make a bird. Thing is, it has to be a specific bird with specific circumstances. I'm not entirely certain why does it have to be a specific bird of whatever thing. I mean, what does it have to be? Like, just to give you an idea, in order to raise a white bird, you need to fan the oven a total of, I think it's 5 times, and shit like that. And it's just like, I'm not entirely certain that this is how bird breeding works, but
no, this is more again. This is injected a bit of mysticality to represent the quasi wizard status of the character.
I get that this is meant to be alchemy. I get that.
That was to a point.
Sorry, go
the
on.
entire also point of this is the Candleman is testing to an extent Gollum just to see how his psyche works, how he behaves, if he wants to betray, other people, if he potentially wants to backstab him. The problem is that, as Jova probably noticed, it's coming a bit across the same way Judas Traveler will try to test Peter Parker during the Clone Saga.
Honestly,
Interesting at first, poorly conclusive later.
Honestly, to me, it just comes across as like the Candleman is a lazy shit who just wants Gollum to breed the bird for him.
Yeah, that can also be true.
I mean,
Okay.
the thing is, this feels like a bit of a paradox where the game does stay focused on Gollum, but it stays so focused on Gollum that it doesn't really feel like it ever draws up on or builds up any of these other characters, so we don't really know what exactly is the deal with most. So we are with Gollum, but we're doing essentially errand tasks with little rhyme or reason overall.
Indeed. Basically, there are graffiti in the walls that the original alchemist drew up. So basically, you have to find one. Because some of these will tell you where you can make a brown bird, a white bird, or a black bird. And here we go, you use liquid to color the egg, and that somehow changes the color of the bird that comes out of said egg.
Of
Genetics
course.
is be crazy, kids.
I guess.
Magic!
It's magic. Anyway,
Genetics.
okay, so no, it's like it's one of those things where that's the interesting thing. You two guys were talking about how these guys clearly read the books, and you can tell. The thing is, even then, the actual self-contained story that's being told here, everything that is not taken straight from the Tolkien books feels poorly constructed.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and again, like I said, that just adds to the frustration that arguably one of the better bits, the lore, is more so hidden behind a paywall, which
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the dev's decision or the executives.
I seriously doubt the developers genuinely made that decision because
Especially because, if I recall correctly, it was initially a pre-order bonus, because this game was getting the whole, collector's edition kind of thing. Yeah.
well, it's not a pre-order bonus. Even if you didn't pre-order, you can still get it. But
Okay.
Hours later.
it's for the deluxe edition too. It's a DLC that's part of the. You can buy the standard edition, but then buy it separately. Yes, but what the version I got on a sale on PSN was the Precious edition, which is the deluxe edition of the game, basically.
Also, to answer your question from before, Jova, that's the thing. The difference between the books and the movies are not so much in the inclusion of characters or the exclusion of them. Sure, maybe there are one or two who are not present, like Gamburigan in Return of the King, but not to this extent. It's more of a case of just the characters' appearances, and some, not that much, many over action. Otherwise, Jacqueline did still stay close to a lot of elements from the book anyway, particularly also to this portion of Gollum.
Isn't the whole reason why the movies have a bajillion extended editions because he wanted to include as much stuff from the books as possible?
Yes, although as I mentioned during the commentaries, there is still some stuff that decided to go for a completely different direction, like Faramir or Denethor, But still, my point being,
there you go. In order to make a brown egg, you need to fire, 3 sticks, and wind. It's only later in this video that I realized that the wind means like those.
The wind is the machine. I forget what the proper name is.
I think we know what it means. The thing that does.
It's associated to the fire. Yeah.
And notice that this one only has 2 stripes, so basically that's where the boss. Hold on, Java. Let me actually make my point. The world building in this game is pretty poor. I mean, it's still better than the world building in Tears of the Kingdom. Booyah! Sorry, I couldn't resist it. The point is, it's not particularly consistent, even with what seems to be written in the lore compendium. That's the interesting thing.
That's because, like you said, this game still wants to take a lot of liberties to a lot of things by introducing a couple of characters. It's more of a case of the situation, as in also the place that Gollum is visiting, and kind of...
Wow, Gollum has the power to make things vanish with the power of his mind.
I just
We couldn't animate him actually doing that thing, Dweb, so sorry.
Wait. I just want to talk about this lever pulling animation. Like, keep in mind, the game has it so that you're in front of it. It makes it so that you can't move, and each time it has it so that the lever falls down and clips through Gollum. Like,
can we talk about how every time I try to make a bird, it always says hours later, so potentially Gollum can stay here for like a bajillion years making birds, and the cameraman apparently has infinite patience.
Yes. Also, that bird is terribly rendered. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Here's an alternate timeline. Gollum never shows up in the books because he kept making birds, trying to make birds for years.
He has found his calling in life.
You know what's sad though, Jova?
What?
It's actually one of the better character models in the game.
Which one? The bird?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think the bird looks very good, honestly.
No, better is a relative term, Pedro.
I mean, yeah, the best model for me is still Gollum. I mean, he still doesn't look great necessarily, but
slight lower time. The guy that the Candleman told is correct. The last king of Gondor. Essentially, after that, the steward started ruling, in which Denethor is the last of them. It was in a period where Sauron technically was gone, but the House of Gondor, Kings of Gondor, was still fading to an extent.
Like the moon.
Would you say it's as mysterious as the dark side of the moon?
He's referring to the Palantir. Remember, Minas... Well, you can't remember because the movies don't show it. Minas Tirith as a Palantir, and that's the reason why Denethor goes crazy towards the end of Return of the King.
tell me how it ends so that the audience knows.
Yeah, the Witch King will flee to the north and establish the Kingdom of Angvar.
Show me.
I love how the things in his hat started moving for no reason, even though he didn't really make that much of a movement head-wise.
The wind?
The sound made it pretty clear that he was actually, concentrating or using some kind of magic power, so maybe that's what he wanted to convey.
I guess. I think it would have helped me if there was an actual magical thingy showing up from his fingers, maybe.
Oh boy, do we have a pet mechanic in this?
So we can either not name it or name him Little One.
Yeah, I'm kind of that kind of Pokemon player who never renames their Pokemon, so I probably would have been on Gollum's side in this case.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Damn.
and your ears
I don't know what that has to say about me.
Well, there's no default name for this bird, though. So
what they eat, what they
Oh
drink.
please, the game.
Again, just use the Cassandra method. Bird.
You are my monster now. And monsters don't make friends.
oh, so isn't it more like the William Hurt method, like where he just calls his wife? Like,
Well, that's still a human being. Again, Cassandra just has the pet owl, which is called Owl. It's practical. Shut up.
That's like calling a Charizard. Ash really did not come up with nicknames.
I can just believe that Ash is not the kind of trainer that cares about nicknames.
Also, again,
Oh, yeah,
they
me
did it for
too.
the sake of convenience in terms of conveying which Pokemon is to the younger audience.
That too.
I like how they made a point that Ash doesn't come up with nicknames in the first Pokemon movie.
Well, again, Drew, I would like to remind you, Ash doesn't even know what the word transcendence means, apparently.
Alright, so moving on.
So, yay! We raised a bird! What
And we
does this
accomplished a lot.
accomplish?
I don't know, and like I said, I have no fucking clue where this plot thread even come from. Like,
Where's this plot even going?
chapter 4, years later. Chapter 4, the veteran.
So we've been here
Wow.
years.
So you're telling me that Gollum stayed in this jail for years and absolutely nothing interesting happened in between?
Oh, this.
So what happened? Did the Candleman and the Gollum train the bird for years or something?
Like, shoot, I thought we were gonna have, like, maybe a bird mechanic or something.
I mean, at least give us a montage of what happened,
Maybe this is to show us that Gollum isn't truly a monster.
Anyway, this is Grashneg. He's gonna be our buddy for the following chapters.
Wait, what happened to the old guy? Did he just die?
He just disappears. I'm not kidding.
Remember, Jova, we rat him out.
Sleep beautifully.
No.
No, actually, Theo, no, Theo, we blame the orc for it. Remember? We
woman, but remember, the Candleman asked for the truth.
Oh yeah, that is true.
It means lamb.
But even still, though, like, not even a mention
Well,
of if he's dead or not.
well, maybe you know too. If we go the Gollum route and
I
lie,
remember.
does the Feralman continue here?
I'll try to check between parts.
Honestly, well, you know what? If the game actually does change proper with that, props to it. Like, it would be easy to assume that the game is just that broke that it doesn't do that.
On a primitive level, you can definitely still see the skeleton structure that is similar to a lot of point-and-click games, or similar to the one that Delalic normally, makes and publishes. With the idea of you being in a closed chamber, having to solve this particular puzzle. Like the one with the egg is a clear, based around that kind of, general way, and your choice having some kind of consequence on this kind of level will be feeling kind of like on the same level. But again,
the problem is that the
game
did not get us to know the old man well enough for us to care that much if he even is dead. And like the thing is, my shock comes from the fact that I felt like there was still more in store for the old man.
And remember, Jova,
it feels like we barely built him up at all.
And remember, Jova, if you don't pay for the lore compendium, the story doesn't even bother telling you who he is and why you should give a damn.
Well, to be fair, in one of the early parts, a couple of the characters do mention about him being potentially, not confirming, but at least give a speculation of him being royalty and being of the South. So at least a basic thing is there.
Although the problem is, like, in that regard, we do have the question of, is he for real or is he lying? And again, never really concluded.
Well, again, that also leads to another. Is that important?
To me it is,
Well,
because,
I mean, Well, the thing is, the game wanted us to care about this guy to some extent, to the point where they make it a moral dilemma of whether or not we turn him in at a certain point.
Yeah,
so
true.
I would think the game would want us to care about the
the only
guy.
other important thing that he did was to give a hint on how Gollum, as you will see, will ultimately manage to escape. But again, that's not now.
Tune in next time.
He is his old man for the story of Count of Monte
Alright, guys. You will never believe the exciting task ahead of us in part 8.
Gollum cleans the
Pedro.
toilet.
He washes the dishes?
Close. He hurts.
Still, my beating heart.
He hurts more cattle.
Yeah.
Exciting.
See you, everybody.
That's
Right.